A very good evening to you and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk on Global Television. My name is Bon Usoro. This is the program where we highlight political discussions and I actually bring to fore discussions that will help shape Nigeria. Like I always say, this is the only country that we have, and we have to make sure that we make Nigeria work. That's a prayer. We want to see this country working for all of us, for you, for me, and for everybody. All right, so today I actually went through social media like I do every day when I come on the program to look at what are the topics that Nigerians are talking about and some of the reactions. I'd like to bring that to you. Let's check the trending political topics and what Nigerians think about this. All right, okay, so I'll be right back. Let's go for a short break. All right, so like I say, when we come on the program, we always like to highlight what are the important political discussions that Nigerians are having at this time. And tonight, let's go check out some of the perspective and some political topics that Nigerians are talking about on social media. I'd like to highlight your thoughts and bring also the comments to some of these issues, as we have a few of what some Nigerians think about these issues. Let's check the issues out. All right, so we have the story says INEC to begin nationwide voter registration from August the 18th. So the Independent National Electoral Commission has announced the commencement of the 2025 nationwide continuous voter registration exercise ahead of the upcoming elections in 2027. And let's see what some Nigerians think about this. Theophilus Obadufe says not until proper electoral reforms, the so-called continuous voter registration, Nayawa, just waste and squandering of public resources that could have been used to better the lot of an average Nigerian. Okay, that's the thoughts of Theophilus Obadufe. Chibueze Duzma says PVC only effective inside bank and not for elections. APC have hijacked INEC and the judiciary in Nigeria. Okay, so let's check out another story on social media that was actually trending today. NAPTIC urges renewed crackdown on human traffickers. So the Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Bintu Adamu Bello, on Friday, that's today, have called for more collaborative efforts, particularly from members of the public, for an increased crackdown on human traffickers across Ogun State and the country as a whole. Okay, let's check out some views. Wisdom Ben says the one the government are doing is worse than trafficking. Labor employee that will be getting 300k for a worker at the end of the month, they will pay the person 35k. Please, let's look into this. Okay, so trying to say some persons are earning more or less than they should be earning, and trying to compare it with trafficking. That's the thoughts of Wisdom Ben concerning what NAPTIC is saying about trafficking. All right, so let's check out another story that we have for you tonight. Northeast APC youth warn Tinubu against replacing Shettima. To the All Progressive Congress Youth Parliament Northeast Zone has warned against what is described as rumors circulating about the potential substitution of Vice President Kashim Shettima ahead of the 2027 general elections. Okay, let's check what Nigerians think about this. Elzak Jatu says intra-party decisions should be guided by dialogue, not threats or fear-mongering. Rumors should not provoke ultimatums in a matured our political system. Vice President Shettima is respected, but no seat is immune from strategic review. Youth leaders must promote unity and policy, not tension and emotional reactions. Such utterances weaken party image and democratic maturity. Let's place national interest above personal sentiments, my brothers. All right, so an advice from El Zik Jatu concerning what the Northeast Zone youths have said about plans. There's been some rumors about political correctness and trying to balance the politics that the president may be trying to replace Vice President Kashim Shettima. But today on the show, we want to be looking at Nigeria's emerging political landscape. And joining us to help us make sense of this discussion is a politician who himself have been in the tussle for so long, and also a political commentator, Mr. Sullivan Ihia-Chukwu. A very good evening to you, Mr. Sullivan. Please, can you unmute your mic? Hello, Mr. Sullivan, can you hear me? Kindly unmute your mic.
Hello, boy, I can hear you. A very good evening to you, and how are you doing in the studio?
I'm fine. How are you? So,
we're fine, no problem.
All right, so I'd like to start. Are you still a member of the PDP?
I knew you were going to start with that very question this evening.
Yeah, I need to know, because it seems a lot of people are leaving the PDP at this point. So I wanted to know, are you still a member of the PDP?
Well, I'm still a member of the PDP. And I don't think, though there might be change anyway, but for now, as we speak, I'm still a member of the People's Democratic Party.
All right, so let's start about the political landscape in Nigeria. In the last 2 years, since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came into power, we've seen a lot of governors from your party. Although you've said that there may be consideration towards leaving the party, but we've seen a lot of governors from the PDP, defect to the APC, House members also defect to the APC. And I know that you used to be very passionate about, defending the party and all of that. So, but now, we saw 2 weeks ago, we saw the NEC meeting of your party in Abuja, and we saw your party come up with a position talking about convention that will be coming. Is there hope for the PDP in Nigeria as an opposition party? 2 questions now. Number one, is there hope for your party? What's the direction of the PDP? Has the PDP been able to have they showed capacity as an opposition leader or the leading opposition party in Nigeria as it was supposed to be, or as it were?
Well, look, for now, PDP remains the strongest opposition party in the country, whether anybody likes it or not. In as much as they have their own issues, internal rancor, from party leadership to those who believe the party belongs to them, and of course they'll be the ones giving the directives, all directives, thereby undermining, those who are starting with responsibilities to, lead the party. That's one. The two, if any party can, for me, any party can be an opposition, a strong opposition in the country, depending on how you are able to, manage yourself to a point where even the ruling party, will see you as, yes, this is a formidable party that might likely, push power or push us out, come 2027. But for now, if you ask me, I think the PDP is the known opposition now, the strong opposition in the country. Maybe in the future, before 2027, we'll see other parties, becoming more stronger because of the personalities in those parties. And like you said, a lot of governors have already left the PDP, for the APC. And I believe some might equally leave the PDP if there is not taken to the new coalition party, ADC. So, but until then, the PDP for me still remains the...
Right, so the next question was, has the PDP been able to play the role of opposition? Because I remember before 2014, when the APC came into power, we saw the APC being a very vibrant opposition after the merger. We saw people like Lai Mohammed who were always issuing press releases. We saw a lot of activity from the APC But it seems the PDP, some Nigerians have complained that the PDP have not been able to play the opposition, parts very well. Maybe since they lost elections, they've not really come to terms that they are no longer the ruling party. In fact, there's been conversation around the PDP still behaving as the ruling party, even when it is clear that it is not the ruling party in Nigeria at the time.
Well, for me, it depends on your view on the role of an opposition party. And I've been able to make people understand that away from party politics after election, they will now fix, leadership or governance, as it were. And so far, I think the PDP have also been able to a large extent, to play the opposition party, which they stand for now. By pointing out, we've seen in different fora where members of the People's Democratic Party have been able to point out the ills of this government, where they've done right, the things they're not doing too well, the things they're supposed to do to get it right, and all whatnot. These are these are the attributes of people in the opposition. These are what is expected of someone in the opposition, to give a constructive criticism about the happenings around the ruling party and, of course, the affairs of the nation. That's one. Then two, one can still tell you that they've not been the formidable opposition as expected, considering the internal rancor, right from when they lost the elections in 2023. They've not been able to stabilize fully. We have likes of Eso Wike, Sam Anyanwu, and the court issues here and there. And up to today, Sam Anyanwu the secretary, tomorrow Sam Anyanwu not the secretary, next tomorrow Sam Anyanwu the secretary. So there are a lot of issues in the party, which is not expected, of a party who is ready to take over power in 2027. And like everybody will tell you, an opposition party is supposed to put their acts together to challenge the ruling party. But when you're having issues here and there, people believe these people are not serious. They've not been able to even gather their acts together, not to talk of, they're talking about what the ruling party is doing. So how are we even sure they are ready to take over power from the ruling party, APC? So like everybody will tell you, if you're not being able to put your house together, how are you going to, manage a bigger house? So for sure, a lot of persons believe they've not been living up to their expectations as a ruling party. But sincerely speaking, before 2023, during the time of Muhammadu Buhari, I can tell you for free that PDP was, if not the only, opposition party as at the time who speaks truth to power, who was able to, point out the anomalies in the previous administration. But so far since 2023, the internal rancor in PDP have not been able to give them the leverage or even the chance to even stand alone as an formidable opposition party in the country, and that has been a challenge, and that is one of the reasons why you see a lot of people campaigning from the PDP, either joining the APC, of course, or the new coalition ADC party.
Politics now. We saw something happen in 2013 with the registration of the All Progressive Congress, and that led us to 2014 and eventually getting into power in 2015. Are you seeing this coalition having the same dynamics that we saw in 2013, 2014, 2015, getting into 2027, where this coalition may be sending the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Remember that Jonathan had just done one term after being elected, and he wasn't able to win the second term. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done one term, and the opposition is saying they will not allow him continue because they are going to win him at the ballot. Talk about the dynamics of this formation as somebody who studies the Nigerian political climate.
People like Right from Rotimi Amechi, the former governor of Rivers State, and of course the former minister for transport, who moved from the PDP and of course joined the APC, and some other governors alike. And that is one thing that for me shows that a new coalition, being the APC, are ready to take over government in 2015. But right now we are seeing governors from the PDP joining the same APC, not even joining the coalition ADC. So far,
all right, so, okay. Go ahead, Mr. Yanyi. We are listening to you. All right, so we're still talking to Mr. Sullivan Yanyi, who is a political commentator and a PDP chieftain at the moment, although he has the explanations to do for himself, talking about the fact that that may change tomorrow. As we're highlighting Nigeria's emerging political landscape, I'm trying to understand what is really happening in the Nigerian political landscape, because of recent we've seen a lot of cross carpeting. We've seen a lot of people moving from one political party to the other, and there are questions about ideology in Nigeria. Do our political parties really have ideologies, or is it just a vehicle for people to use at their discretion, and they can dump the political party at any point in time? Remember that when we vote in elections, we don't see names of candidates. What we see are symbols of political parties. So at the polling booth, no candidate appears. So some parties have argued that parties own the tickets. So if you are decamping to another political party, you shouldn't decamp, or you should give the ticket to the party and go to the political party that you want to go to. That it's not fair when politicians leave these political parties with the tickets that were given to them by these same political parties. And these are conversations that we will keep having. And I think we lost Mr. Sullivan, and we're going to try to bring him back so we could continue this conversation. Let's go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll still talk about the emerging Nigeria's political landscape. My name is Ubong Usoro, and this is Global TV. Welcome back. So we're still exploring Nigeria's emerging political landscape and what it means for all of us, because like we say, politics belongs is a game that everybody is interested in. Yeah, one way or the other, you are involved in political activities, and political policies will determine how you run your business, how you run your life, how you run your family. So it is very important that as citizens of Nigeria will become interested in what happens at our politics. But you know, there's this conversation around having more interest at the national level, because when voting wants to happen, people are like, who are those contesting for presidency? And a lot of persons are involved in choosing politicians at the national level. But what are the conversations around choosing politicians at the world level? Do you know that you have a mandate to choose a councillor? You have a mandate to choose a chairman. You have a mandate to choose your governor before we even talk about House of Representatives member and senators. So we have all of these strata that you have to follow. We have councillors, we have chairman of local government, we have house members, state house members, we have federal house members, we have senators and governors, then the president. But a lot of times Nigerians always want to focus more on the president. Of course, it's important that we get to know and we get to be involved in the process that that leads to the selection of the president. We're still trying to connect with a PDP chieftain that was talking to us, all right, earlier on the show, Sullivan Inyanyi. And I think we're having a bit of hitch in network as we're discussing Nigeria's political emerging landscape and what it means for the PDP. And you heard Sullivan say earlier on that he is a member of the PDP as of today, but that may change in future. You know, when people say these kind of things, for those of us who are political journalists, we just get to imagine, will there ever be a time in Nigeria where we'll have Nigerians have one party and are able to stay in that party for so long a time? Right? Will we ever have a time in Nigeria where Nigerians stay in one party, believe in one party? Parties will have ideology and will know that this is what this party stands for and that is what the other party stands for. These are conversations that we as Nigerians should want to have, because it involves all of us, where politicians are straightforward to staying in one party, to believing in ideology, to telling us your policy. I asked somebody the other time on the show and he told me, former President Buhari, did he tell you what he wanted to do? Okay, so we could imagine conversations like that. So it's about not what the people want, but what politicians want to do. So politicians tell the people and not the people telling the politicians. So we should have more conversation around, having a broader approach to our electioneering, to our political system, to expand the scope of our politics. And I believe that we should be able to have Sullivan in no time. But let's go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll get to talk to Sullivan Inyanyi, an APC chieftain, about Nigeria's emerging political landscape ahead of 2027. My name is Ubong Usoro, and this is Global Television Big Talk, the program. All right, so like we say, these things can happen. You can never really trust technology, but these are conversations that could lead to political conversations, because during the last elections, we saw some Nigerians complaining about the ability of INEC to be able to transmit election results real time, and there were conversations around how durable or how sustainable is our energy infrastructure in Nigeria, and these conversations keep happening when we have this kind of conversation. Tonight on the show, we had joining us from Port Harcourt an APC chieftain, Sullivan Iyanyi, that we were discussing up until we had our conversation, the same conversation we're having around infrastructure, technological infrastructure, where we are able to not hold on to data for so long, and we've even seen countries that are more sophisticated in quotes than Nigeria, face issues of theft, face issues of scam, face issues of technology, malfunction, and that's just what happened tonight on the show. And even though we're still trying to see if we can bring Sullivan back to help us up, but before then, I did some reports, and some of the reports I'd like to play for you. Let's actually dissect the state of the country as we look at the emerging political situation in Nigeria. Let's take this report.
House of Representatives Tajuddin Abbas says Nigeria's compressed natural gas policy is not just about clean energy, but a pathway to energy security and economic diversification. Represented at the hearing by Sada Soli, the Speaker told the ad hoc committee on CNG policy implementation that while the initiative offers a cleaner and cheaper alternative to petrol, Nigerians must feel its benefits.
The essence of this public hearing cannot be overstated, as it reflects our legislative commitment to transparency, accountability, and effective policy implementation.
Chairman of the committee, Ahmed Jaha, described the policy as bold but warned that it could fail without transparency and effective oversight. He listed key concerns, including uneven distribution of conversion centers, safety issues, and lack of public awareness, urging data-backed submissions from stakeholders.
My concern is the infrastructure. that will be available to service these cars that are converted. Sustainability is the most important thing.
Project Director of the Presidential CNG Initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, says 300 conversion centers now exist in 24 states, up from just 7. He noted that 2 staff had been dismissed for misconduct, reaffirming the initiative's zero tolerance for corruption.
You agree with me that if we had started awarding contracts to build conversion centers, we will probably not have 20 of them in Nigeria today in 12 months, because they will have to go to tender, they will do the bureaucracy, money will not come out, and you know how that story evolves.
The Ministry of Petroleum, NNPCL, Federal Road Safety Corps also threw their weight behind the CNG transition and urged the National Assembly to legislate certification standards, train inspectors, and strengthen compliance across the country. Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV.
All right, so still continuing the conversation around Nigeria's emerging political landscape. We lost the analyst we had earlier on the show because of network difficulty. And these are conversations we keep having. Is Nigeria really good for electronic transmission of elections, where people keep talking about let's have electronic transmission, but we have infrastructure where we're having tonight difficulties with network and we can't finish the lines of thought. So joining us now from Cross River State at the moment is also a political analyst to help us conclude the conversation. We have Jimmy Jackson on the line. A very good evening to you, Jimmy.
Yeah, good evening, Bonsoir. It's good to be here.
All right, so we're talking about Nigeria's emerging political landscape and what it means for Nigerians at this time. We have the African Democratic Congress, as you know, the coalition, and just some days ago we saw the SDP saying that Nasir El-Rufai has been banned from the party for 30 years. What do you think this coalition will achieve at the end of the day?
Well, I think for me, the coalition is trying to see how to ensure that we have a formidable force to fight the current late APC government. But it's going to be very difficult because we can't really see or really know where the pendulum would swing, because this is the first stage in the formation of the party. We're also looking at the executives of the party, starting from the national chairman, the secretary, and all of that. After this stage, you now look at the primaries. Who would actually emerge? Will it be a consensus candidate that, the party and the entire generation of Nigerians would be happy with? So it's going to be a little bit of a long run actually to get to their promised land, if actually there will be a promised land. Because if you look at the APC government, they're also trying as hard as they can to ensure that they draw every political parties, political business into their party. But again, the primaries would actually decide where the pendulum would swing.
All right, so talking about the APC, we see the APC is not even losing steam because we still have more defection. And assumptions that the governors of Rivers State and Bayelsa State may also be joining the APC. So that's the APC on one side. Then we have the PDP with its just concluded neck chest beating and saying that the PDP has solved this problem and is ready to go into 2027 with a winning mentality. And now the ADC and the Labour Party is still talking tough about being the party of choice to Nigerians. So with all of these frontline political parties, not looking down on the other political parties, SDP and a lot of other parties, YPP and the rest, you can go ahead to mention them. What are the dynamics that you are seeing towards 2027? Are we going to see a major of the other opposition parties, maybe the LP, the PDP, and maybe the SDP come into a major, or will it just be a coalition of individuals and different from a coalition of parties like we had in 2013, where we had the ANPP, we had the ACN and the CPC, collapse all of the structures at world level, state level, and national level, and come to form the APC. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, let's start with the EPC, looking at the party itself. Because again, you're saying that the EPC, what we are witnessing is that the EPC is trying as much as they can, to bring in more people to the party. Are they going to alter the already existing zoning for those representatives or those in elective position in the party? Let's not forget that, most times when you look at elections and especially party flag bearers, it's actually based on zoning. So that is the problem APC is not trying to address. But what APC is doing right now is trying to ensure that they have a whole lot of political people in the party. So I'm looking at the other parties trying to see how to unseat the APC government. It's going to be very difficult. Already, PDP is in a whole lot of distress. The ADC is trying as much as they can to actually buy every political aggrieved politicians into their parties. The other smaller parties, would they be able to join forces to see how to have one strong party? I doubt, considering the last time I came out to see that more people or more parties actually applying for, a place, to be registered for the upcoming elections. So it's going to be a whole lot of dynamics going to the elections. But one thing we can say for sure is that going to the 2027 elections, we are actually going to look at a four-strong party that would be contesting in that particular election. APC leading the way. PDP might not, but might, because already PDP is talking to us, trying to see how to woo Peter Obi back to their fold. So it's going to be neither here nor there. Whichever party that would be fronting or would be ready for the 2027 elections, the flag bearer is important at this moment.
All right, so yeah. Still talking about flag, who is the flag bearer of any political parties now. There are permutations that the ADC may be trying to tell Peter Obi, come into the party, go into the primaries. If you fail, you get the vice presidential slot. And there are also conversations, like you rightly mentioned, that the PDP seem to be asking Peter Obi, come back to the fold of the PDP. And the Labour Party, as also talking tough, as saying that they did something never seen in Nigeria, and they may be wanting to do it again. So all of these three options for Mr. Peter Obi, but we are not really actually looking at Mr. Peter Obi for today. Just the dynamics that we have. So are these political parties really rebuilding itself towards 2023 to have a competition? Because people have talked about the fact that if the opposition is not saying one thing, it may be difficult for them to challenge the APC if their votes will be divided among all of these opposition parties.
It's going to be very difficult. I think we had a chance in 2023 where the Labour Party was an emerging force to reckon politically in Nigeria. But what happens, especially for those who got elected on the platform of the Labour Party, most of them, majority of them have actually defeated the ruling party. So it's going to be a very dicey one. Because again, it's not about the presidential election itself. You're looking at politicians who have strong grassroots base that would be able to canvass votes in their local units. It's not about,
all right, so Jimmy, let me just conclude so that you help us make more sense about that thought. You just talked about politicians that have strong grassroots base. In all of this opposition now, that which of the politicians do you think have a stronger base at the grassroots level? Is it Alhaji Atiku Abubakar or the rest?
Well, I doubt, because if you look at I think, the PDP, they have to rely on the their existing structure, which has almost been put to shambles because of the political tussle with the executives there. So it's going to be very difficult. But now the thing is, the dynamics, especially for those defecting to the APC, would be that going to the elections in 2027, you have to go back to your unit to actually canvass. Will they be able to do that? It's a big question. Now, for those who are agreed, how will they? Because again, a political being comes to your party, automatically will have to alter the structure or the zoning of that particular party. Will the people at the world level be happy to allow that to happen? So it's going to be
right, Jimmy, so you keep talking about structure, and I think this is a conversation a lot of Nigerians also talk about structure. What is really this political structure that the PDP talks about a lot, and you just corroborated that their facts that they have a political structure. What is this political structure about? What is political structure in Nigerian political system?
Well, the political structure in the Nigerian political system, if you have been following politics for a very long time, is that election is actually grassroots. So it's different when you are actually in the cities where you have a mixture of a lot of people, but at the grassroots level, what is the structure? How are you able to canvass votes for your party? How are you selling your party? How are you selling your party? So that is what most of these politicians who feel they have a huge fan base will have difficulties, because it's a different ball game for you to say, maybe on social media, on media pages, radio, TV, everybody's talking about you. But grassroots, are you selling yourself? What are the things you are bringing to the table? And again, talking about grassroots, it's very also difficult, because when you go to the grassroots, most times politicians sell to those grassroots guys. It's just that, I'll give you money, I'll promise them after elections, and it's gone. So it's going to be very difficult. And again, so which of the political parties right now, aside, let's just talk about APC, PDP, and the coalition, the ADC, have the structure that trickles down to the grassroots.
So you help us answer the question now. I think that's a very important question. Which of these political parties, Jimmy, have the structures that, like you mentioned, trickles down to the grassroots level? And you just mentioned some names: the APC, PDP, Labour Party, and SDP. Which of them, even the ADC, do they have the structures that trickle down to win a national election?
For right now, I can say that none of the political parties have that strong structure. The APC is actually in a big turmoil, waiting to unfold itself because of a lot of defections. And when you defect to a political party who had an existing structure, you need to go and fight, because there are also people in this particular political party.
But not in all cases. Not in all cases. We saw in Akwa Ibom, former governor of Akwa Ibom State, the Senate president hand over the structure of the APC to Governor Umoino. There could be alignment.
Yes, there is an alignment, but let's wait, because we have not had elections since then. Already there are a lot of issues about structures, somebody coming to take over. So we have not, the APC or the defection have not been tested yet. So let's wait till.
So help me answer the question now, Jimmy. Help us as a political commentator. This is your fault. You really understand which of these political parties have the structures that trickle down to the zone and the ward and all of the other levels.
Well, I doubt if any political party have that particular structure.
But you could just give us names so those you think they have the structures.
Let's start with the APC governors right now. I don't need the ones that defected. Let's the ones who won under the platform of APC. Yes, you could say they have the structure in their states. But for the ones that are defective, I doubt if they have the structure. And let's not forget that those who have defected from the PDP to the APC also add structures in the PDP. Are they going to alter the sittings? And when those kind of defections takes place, sometimes it opens rooms for others who have been seeking political position to also have a say. So they have not been tested yet. So maybe next year we'll see.
No, Jimmy, you've avoided giving me names of political parties. I wanted to hear you say.
Because there's none. I can say authoritatively. There's none that can beat their chest. APC, PDP, ADC, SDP, that they have the structure that trickles down. Let's talk about the local government elections. The governor, most times, the party wins.
Right.
But let's talk about proper elections. So let's wait until the primary comes and see how things feel now. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, because right now, the rotation are high. Maybe you can look at the national DAP
Right.
president. Yes, you might want to, because governors want to ensure who's in the party. But for others trying to see how, because you don't just need
Right.
elections. You also need to win the House of Assembly. You need to win the House of Reps, the Senate. And because, we talked about alignment, you need these things. And from what we have seen in the Senate and Senate, we have actually not seen a clear checks and balance.
All right.
And
Thank you.
wondering where, if everyone aligns, so are we going to have a one-party system, or if I will tell you Nigeria?
Right, thank you so much, Jimmy Jackson, political commentator, for joining us on the show tonight and helping us make sense about the discussion. 2027 politics, Nigeria's emerging political landscape. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for your time. We really do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, people, and that's the size of our show for tonight. We had earlier on the show, we had joining us Sullivan Iyayi and a PDP chief then joining us from Port Harcourt to talk about the dynamics of Nigeria's emerging political system. And later on the show, we had Jimmy Jackson, a political commentator from Cross River, joining us also to help make sense about the political situation. According to Jimmy, he says no political party in Nigeria at this time can say it has a structure that covers the whole nation. And that's his point and that's his view. Remember that every weekday we come your way from 7 p.m. to around 8 p.m. And on Sundays we have a Big Talk Sunday edition of 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Do have for yourself a wonderful night. My name is Ubong Usori in Abuja, and I say now bye for now.